first of all, an epic moment. I think this has been a long time coming in the making. People have wanted to see us have a conversation for a very, very long time.
This does not even deserve a captain's log introduction, because this is dead serious.
How's it going today, guys? It's been a long time coming. I'm telling you guys, I have been waiting on this moment for about 8 months now. Ever since DSP got involved with Kino Casino, I knew a bunch of people were upset about it because it was going to raise DSP's ego all the way to the moon. And that definitely did happen. You know, sometimes I look at it like, you know, we gotta take some bad to get the really, really good. And that is exactly what has happened this week. You see, if you guys don't know, DSP has been on the biggest crash out of his career. And now I know, the man has 16 years of content. Great content, guys. You know, just go over to DSP's channel and watch those amazing gameplay videos. You'll definitely pass out in a few minutes and Philip will be your NyQuil for the rest of your life, because that's about all his videos are good for. Until a couple of days ago, when he finally got ReviewTechUSA onto his stream so they could talk about the Kino Casino, because yes, the Kino Casino has finally snaked DSP. Or should I put it, DSP snaked DSP. And since he's such a sweaty JPEG man lover, I'm just gonna call it like it is. DSP screwed DSP. PPP and Andy Worski ate their vitamins, said their prayers, and sent Phil packing, and he just can't take it. He's having an absolute meltdown, people. Like, I wouldn't suggest going to a DSP stream because it's really boring. But if you ever want to watch detractor content, go over to Duty Streams, go over to Raw Phil and see the comedy. It's just golden right now. So anyways, DSP gets ReviewTechUSA on his stream, and what do you guys think would happen? ReviewTechUSA, a man who has been clowning Philip for at least 10 years of his life. And Phil decides, since, well, Kino Casino was messing with ReviewTech, and they're also messing with him now, that he can just call ReviewTechUSA and they're gonna be buddies, because Phil just doesn't understand the real world. Just because someone is messing with the both of you doesn't necessarily mean that he likes you now, Phil. In fact, you guys are going to be able to tell throughout this entire video that ReviewTechUSA has basically set Philip up for the trap. You know, DSP, he thinks he's the king snake now, guys, and that he finally got a one-up on the detractors, because if you didn't know, DSP is the one who's been snaking the Kino Casino this whole time. He's the one who's been plotting behind the scenes, even though he was like drunk texting PPP till 4 in the morning when he should have been spending that time with his wife. And you guys are also going to learn DSP doesn't really care about his wife, his animals, or his family, because just to get out of conversations with PPP, which DSP normally started these conversations, he would mention how Cat was sick and his family was sick, and his other cat, you know, the feline cat, was sick as well, and he just couldn't do it. But DSP, it turns out, this is from his own mouth, is a liar. He lied about it all. And it just kind of goes to show you guys, DSP will lie about anything, because you guys can tell me something, right? If you're going to lie, like, what would you lie about? Something simple that doesn't matter in anyone's life, you might lie about it because it just might convenience you, right? Well, DSP, he ups it up 1,000% because he's going to lie about everything nobody else in the world would. Would you guys lie about your mother being sick? Would you guys lie about your animals that you love like being sick? No, you probably wouldn't, because you wouldn't wish that on anybody. DSP, he's not a normal man. He's the pig roach, and he'll take advantage of anybody and everybody. But let's go ahead and get into the video.
I mean, you're going to give me your time, dude. I got to give you respect for doing that. You know, you could be doing something better with your time, I'm sure. And I appreciate you coming on. I want to clear the air here. You have absolutely no preconceived notions of what disappearance is, right? You don't know. We haven't talked about if it's going to be a topic, if it's going to be anything, right? We haven't planned anything, correct?
No, not once. And if you did, I would call you out on it. You didn't. You did not say a word to me about anything.
Because people have been speculating for the last couple of days, well, since yesterday, and I guess you had let it drop on your show that you were going to appear a couple days ago before we had really confirmed it, and then I confirmed it yesterday, and everyone's freaking out. This is an evil plot. They've got all this stuff going on, and, you know, this is not legit. But no, it's not the case. We have nothing planned. Before I begin saying anything, just before we start.
You're going to get shirtless? Are you going to get shirtless?
Absolutely not. I'm just curious.
Oh, come on.
I have tried to have you on, and it didn't work out for whatever reason. So now, this week, I've got you on, all right? And a lot of people are like, this is great. It's the first face-to-face of Rich versus Phil, and they're going to either have it out or maybe this is a plot. They're going to be like buddies now because the casino has turned on Phil. And now Phil's probably looking for allies, right? And he's looking for buddies to team up with against the casino, right? That's what everyone's saying. What do you think about that?
Well, I hope to God that you knew from the beginning that was going to happen. I don't think you did, though, because you were essentially in there. You did simp for them for a while, Phil. Mm-hmm. One thing I found funny is that things that I've just said for years, you make it like I'm going to stalk you and drive the front door in the middle of the night. But when PPP said those things at the time, now you're different because the fallout and, you know, he was calling your wife fat. But back then, it was with them, it was just razzing.
You'll give a little bit of leeway. You'll let them get a little bit of a rise or get a little bit of a boost or a little bit of whatever it is on your behalf. Because, quite frankly, you're also getting a boost on their behalf by being associated or making content with them. All right? But just like everything, there's a limit to that. And what's happened is PPP took it upon himself to keep pushing those boundaries as far as he possibly could, thinking that he was a big shit, basically, and he could get away with whatever. Yeah,
but that was at the 11th hour, though, Phil. I mean, there was actually a video of where, like, you tiptoed into confronting him, and this happened multiple times. It wasn't just in his video, where you would be in their kick chat in, like, the wee hours of the morning, text messaging them or messaging them in their chat like a teenage girl. You were gifting subs. You would go back and forth. You always say that your time, like, that was, what were you doing then? You say your time is valuable. You say you're very busy, but then you were sitting there in their chat, essentially just simping, actually, which is funny. We'll talk more about simping later.
So Rich, I have to be honest with you. All right. I'm going to be very honest with you right now. Okay. I do have a plan for this appearance, and it's nothing whatsoever what you think it is.
It's so funny that DSP thinks he's the smartest man in the room. It's because he normally can feel like that. You know, he just sits there and he talks to these people that are going to donate to him no matter what lie he spews out to him. That's what he's going to do, and that's what his fans, his actual viewer base expects. So they don't care when DSP is lying, even though it's incredibly easy. But what I don't understand, and I think it goes to show you how little human contact DSP has, that he would call up ReviewTechUSA, a guy who hates him. He despises Phil, even though ReviewTechUSA is like lolcow video worthy himself. I've just never gotten around to it. But DSP thinks he can call this guy and be like, hey Rich, you know, you've been really mean to me for like 10 years, but do you want to be my friend now? And ReviewTechUSA is like, sure, Phil. I'm going to come on there, I'm going to take my shirt off, and we're going to have a blast. You know, it's not the normal sweaty men you like to look at all day, but man, I'm a step close to it. So DSP says, okay, this is going to go great, because ReviewTechUSA hates the same people that I do. And if Phil would just talk to people in his real life, you can actually tell he has no communication with his wife, because she goes out to the grocery store and works. Well, at least she used to. She probably doesn't now, but she used to. And if he would have just done that, if he would have been spending time with his wife like he's been saying for the last 5 years, he would know that ReviewTechUSA doesn't care what Phil has to say right now. He's going to use this for his own agenda, and if he was such a king snake like he likes to claim, this would have been a conclusion he came to a very long time ago. But he has no friends, and he never talks to anybody, and the only friends he ever did have in life, he used them, which is exactly what he's trying to do with ReviewTechUSA right now. And Phil, we gotta say this, since ReviewTechUSA is a detractor who does not like you, wouldn't you think you would want to talk to him about the show, you know, just a little bit, like, hey, we're going to do this and that and the third, and you could probably get a good gauge on where ReviewTechUSA's head's at. ReviewTechUSA wears his heart on his sleeve, that tiny little Grinch heart of his, he wears it right out there. He's not going to be able to trick Phil for too long, because he's going to talk trash to Phil, and Phil just can't take any of it, so he's going to kick him off. But no, DSP thinks he's one step ahead, refuses to talk to a detractor of over 10 years and thinks this is going to go good. And you know guys, I hate to give ReviewTechUSA any credit, but in the beginning segments, he was so right. He has been saying the exact same stuff PPP has been telling DSP for years, and he thought ReviewTechUSA was so dangerous he would never talk to him because he was scared that it was going to ruin the business. But when PPP said it, I mean, maybe he did it in a more of a jovial way, but it was very mean. He wasn't been nice to Cat, he wasn't been nice to DSP. And guys, if you got a segment called Grill Phil, like, what do you expect to happen? No other content creator in the world has a segment where they just get grilled endlessly for their mistakes they've made over the past couple of years. And for DSP, it's like over a decade long, almost 2 decades, which is just kind of insane to think about. And at the very end, guys, ReviewTechUSA poses such a good question. DSP was sitting there thinking, oh man, everyone did notice I was drunk texting PPP for hours on end at the Kino Casino, while I should have been laying in bed with my wife like I tell everyone I do every night. But no, DSP's just getting hammered and texting PPP. And he hated that ReviewTechUSA brought that up so much. You guys might think I just edited the end just a little bit funny. No, DSP just straight up ignores the question, like, yeah, I'm not going to answer that. I do not like the question presented to me, and we're going to move on. It's very DSP-like.
Rich, do you recognize this?
Let me look on.
He's not looking. Oh, you don't see me?
Those are your poker chips, Phil. Yeah.
Correct. This is the briefcase that was used as a prop during the co-op react that I did with Kino Casino back in the summer when we watched your documentary from June the King, where every time that there was something embarrassing that happened, we would take some chips out, right? And at the end, we're at the very end, you had 1 chip left. And I said, this is your chip. I'm going to hold on to it. And I had it on my screen back here. And everything, you know, was around this chip in the casino. And you even called it out in your content. And you said, Phil, you fool. They're not your friends, but you have their memes in your content and all of that. I'm well aware of all that stuff that you said, okay?
Which was true from the beginning. Everyone saw that coming from a mile away. You were a content mill for them.
So, okay.
As you've seen.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the king snake? The animal?
Nope.
You're not?
Nope.
The king snake is a creature, a snake, that lures other snakes into its den. Dangerous snakes. Snakes that are known to already be predators, rattlesnakes, and others. The king snake uses this trick in order to make those creatures feel safe. And then the king snake surprises those creatures from behind and swallows them. Andy and Ashton's briefcase. Because, ladies and gentlemen, today on this podcast, this is not the Level 1 podcast featuring RTU at all. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Level 666 podcast straight out of fucking hell.
You're dumb, bitch.
You can tell just how inept DSP is at social interactions just by this one segment. Like the last couple of minutes you guys have watched, when he pops out the briefcase and he's like, hey, ReviewTechUSA, do you remember when me, Andy, and Warski were on stream just clowning you to death? I mean, we was making fun of you. We was making tons of money at it too. I bet you only earned like $50 on stream that night. Guess what? I earned a few grand off of you. That's crazy, but I do feel bad for you now. So I put all of the chips back. It's like that means anything. This is the kind of stuff DSP thinks is content. I'm going to remove a chip every time we embarrass ReviewTechUSA. It's like, why not say something mildly funny, DSP? A decent observation on it. Nope, I'm just going to remove a chip and my fans are going to cheer. They're going to still clap and toss me some money. And oh, is it beautiful, those sweaty JPEG men. I can't get enough of it. So please, give me some more money at ReviewTechUSA's expense. But now that ReviewTechUSA is here, why would Phil remind him of this? Bring up all of their bad history. Like normally, if you like resolve something with someone, like squash the beef, one of the main things you don't do is bring up what initially started the beef. You guys probably haven't got over that entirely. You've just decided that we like each other enough that we can move on from that subject. But we're not going to talk about it anymore because the same exact thing will probably happen. Man should have been talking to his mom, Kat, and actually hanging out with Rambo. And when it comes to DSP's new King Snake moniker that he so proudly has claimed, I'm so glad he didn't do any bit of research on this, and I just heard this from other people mentioning it, but it's just too funny not to tell you guys about, that a king snake literally, to surprise his prey, lets out a very foul odor that incapacitates and confuses his enemy. And you know, that's probably something I could see a pig roached on. Those gout crystals just break apart and release this smell, and everyone from a mile radius just backs away, goes into the room, and leaves DSP alone, just like he's always wanted. And DSP, it's not a very good idea to refer to yourself as a predator when we all know what happened with Leanna. Like, you don't normally get enough flack about that, but I would just stop calling yourself an apex predator, because I mean, you definitely hunted down Leanna with a passion. So I mean, I'm not going to put it past you. In fact, I'm going to call it right now. Phil is the apex predator, and he will surprise you from behind if you give him the chance. I mean, why do you think ReviewTechUSA finally agreed to do this stream?
All of my planning has finally come to fruition. I robbed Kino Casino. I'm not kidding. I'm not
How did you rob?
kidding. Everything that you have seen happen, I swear to God, has been part of my plan all along. I 100% had this planned since day one.
Bill,
and I am going...
I
you don't believe me?
No, I don't believe you. I've been watching you now for over a decade. You were full in on this hook line, and so you called Andy your gaming soulmate.
Rich, I got the receipts. And every single time that we go through a topic and I expose them for who they really are, they're going to lose a few chips. And we're going to see at the end how many chips these two have left over.
This feels like retcon to me, Phil, but sure, prove it to me.
Sure.
Let me see.
We're good. No worries, man.
This sounds like you're just trying to get in front of what they're going to say.
There's nothing to say. As you're going to see and what we're going to go through, everything that they think they have was already planned ahead of time. Every single thing that I told them was either a lie, a half-truth, or something to buy their confidence. They would have something on me. Because the truth is, Rich, I'm tired of being pushed around. I really am. All right? I'm going to be honest with you and the internet right now. Back in 2023, when I did that Side Scrollers interview, and that interview went how it did, and I walked out of there thinking, you know, not a lot of people are going to like me. But at least that interview's out there, and now I don't have to worry about this bullshit anymore. And then the next day...
Because those interviews make you seem disingenuous, Phil. My sweaty man addiction is there. And then you were like, you know, I got to protect my family, which made no sense, Phil. That made zero sense. How does showing a username in a game, that's the equivalent of like showing a gamer tag on like your Xbox Series X. He was like, so you weren't telling the truth. And you said to him, it doesn't matter if I was telling the truth or not. It's still an answer.
That's right. Because I wasn't there to give them some kind of an insane, truthful expose on anything. The whole idea was I give you an interview. Doesn't matter if you like it or not, but I'll give you an interview. And then we're supposed to actually continue on with content. I was supposed to be a regular guest on their show, which was actually the original premise of being on it, is that I was going to be on there, add my 2 cents towards topics and everything, get some exposure, maybe bring some viewers over to my channel. Some of my viewers go to their channel. They didn't give me that respect because after the interview, they decided to make endless amounts of content for weeks to months about me. So
Phil, every radio show or talk show has after shows about the guests that they have on. And you weren't truthful, so their take on you was right.
And after he goes on about how he's the King Snake, he then tells ReviewTechUSA that now he's in charge and that he's not going to be messed with anymore, and he's going to expose everybody. In fact, he's the mastermind. And ReviewTechUSA, he actually has to deal with his parents yelling at him all the time. He has to make excuses to his wife why he can't watch his kids. Like, ReviewTechUSA knows about fibbing to actual people. And he's like, no, Phil. He just wasn't giving them the time of day. And you can tell that DSP was kind of caught off guard. He's like, wait, but I thought we was friends now since you hate the Kino Casino and I do. Well, what is this? And then he goes on to say, well, DSP goes on to say that, well, ever since the Side Scrollers interview, like, I've been down and out ReviewTechUSA. You know, you've been clowning on me since then, and I've had enough of it. Like, how could people not agree with me after that amazing interview? And ReviewTechUSA just hits him with a reality bomb. Like, Phil, do you remember how you lied about everything on that interview? You 100% did. You later admitted it to PPP that you're down from the Raptors. And DSP's like, well, it was an answer. That's all they wanted. And I'm not disingenuous. Like, I don't lie all the time. I just lie to people I don't care about or I believe is less worthy than me. And that's just about everybody in DSP's life. And I want you guys to remember this. DSP for the last 5-6 years, however long Kat has been in the picture, has always said, like, I can't do anything because of my wife. Like, I don't want to put her out in front of this. I don't want people to mess with her. I love her, and I'm not going to have that. But now the DSP is in the crosshairs. Like, he is looking bad right now. What does he do, guys? He immediately calls out Kat's medical history. He's like, look, my wife is sick. I can't do anything, which would be like a decent reasoning. But DSP is sitting here saying that he's lying about it. He's willing to use his wife's health, whether it's true or not, to get an advantage over someone else, which is just absolutely disgusting. I don't even think he understands how damaging this is to his character. Like, if DSP would have just let Kino Casino snake him, do what they do, DSP might have had a couple of fans left from him. Like, oh man, they actually treated you pretty bad at the end there, Phil. You're still the king. But no. DSP just proves he's been a liar his entire life. Like, this is basically what this interview is. DSP is a liar. I mean, we all knew it, but now everyone else can see it. There's no hiding from it. I've made a video on it. Everyone's made a video on it. So now DSP can just be fully exposed. But I'm going to tell you guys the truth. Do I think that's going to stop most people from donating? Well, it has about 60% of his top whales, but there's always going to be those 2 or 3. It's a never-ending cycle.
And I said, I want to try to actually get over on one of these people who's one of these content creators who's constantly a misery broker.
You're saying this whole entire thing for your casino arc was 4D chess that you were playing them to the point that you would hurt your own reputation and career?
Rich, not only that, I cased probably 6 or 7 different individuals who I thought I could maybe get in their good graces, figure out how to get in on it. I knew from the first moment that I started watching their show, this was going to be the one that was going to work if I was going to try to make this happen. Okay? Now, Rich, I'm going to be honest with you again. You have unwittingly been a part of this since day one because you were the reason that I contacted them, make them think I'm some kind of a fucking idiot so that they will always think that I'm indebted to them, that I'm always going to do what they say, because I know how they are. Let's be honest here. We know Ashton. We know Andy. These guys are not squeaky clean. These guys have burned every bridge. They don't have friends. They can't have friends.
Yet you were still absolutely dying to work with them, though.
Oh, not dying to work with them. They were a means for me to finally get out of the position that I was in, being the whipping boy of the internet. And that was the intention from day one. Everything that I laid out, every conversation I had with them, every late night bullshit session I had with them when I should have been asleep, every time I was on their streams kissing their butt, throwing them super memberships or whatever, was all part of this. And they think they have something on me. They're insane. Said my wife was sick and she had found God. And now because of that, I can't do this idea that you came up with. And they bought it. I said, oh, my rabbit is sick, so I can't do the show today. My mom is sick, so I have to fly. I keep saying sick, like every excuse was someone's sick. Yet they bought it every time. Every fucking time.
Or you were just nervous to go do it, so you canceled on it.
But the point I'm making here is I basically manipulated them as much as I could. And then when I knew they were going to eventually turn on me, because we all knew that from the get-go, right? We knew they were going to turn.
That's kind of just gross too, Phil. You would say that your family members were sick to get out of doing things with them?
Oh,
it's not one up on them?
No. It's not to get out of doing things with them. It's to basically have a way to make them believe that everything I'm saying is true. Because no one is going to think that someone's going to just pull that out of their ass. But to beat a snake, you have to be the better snake. They were pitching ideas that would have worked, but they didn't have any clout to make the ideas happen. They legitimately couldn't make anything work that would have made us money. It was cancellation, denial, cancellation, denial, after. It was like endless.
I'm not a fan of the casino, but they did have the clout and the money to make things happen. I think the only person believing this in this stream right now is you. How do you do so? You're trying to tell me to believe that for the past 8 months, when you were sitting there gifting them subs, simping for them like hours upon hours on end, trying to get them to pay attention to you, like they were Beavis and Butthead and you were Stewart, that this was all some big plan to get vengeance on people that if you never affiliated with, you would be in a better position than you are now. You called Andy Worski your gaming soulmate. You were so into all this to the point that you let them shame you. And now in the end, after all is said and done, you come out on the other end looking worse, and you're trying to tell me that this is 4D chess. So you're the Batman. You're the Batman of drama merchants, going selflessly to take them down.
You can call it whatever you want. You know, you really can. But the point here is, I was the one who initiated the contact. I was the one who actually suggested the react to your documentary.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
When ReviewTechUSA asked DSP if this was just 4D chess to absolutely destroy his career, and DSP actually thinks about it for a second, and he's absolutely forced to just be like, yep, 100%, that's the plan, because if he backtracks at all, it just ruins this entire live stream. And everybody knows DSP is just absolute scum, so he's got to sit there and be like, yep, I 100% did that, ReviewTechUSA. I am sure an idiot. Yes, that's right. It sounded exactly like a comedy movie, like 100%, the timing and everything. Like, I cannot believe this is real life. You know, DSP has always claimed that he's not a lolcow, that he's so much smarter than people like Chris Chan, Daniel Larson, and King Cobra JFS, but I'm going to tell you guys something. This is one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen a lolcow commit, and I gotta say, with as scummy and as vile as you are, and all of your past actions, DSP, I'm starting to rank you in the top 5 most despicable. And Anaconda Sins is up in there. It's some bad company to keep. You gotta love that DSP immediately goes back to just calling ReviewTechUSA a dumbass, basically. He's like, listen, Rich, you wasn't even in on the idea. I'm so much smarter than you. And then DSP goes on to say some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard, like on Tony Chase level of crazy. And think about it. ReviewTechUSA of all people is literally sitting up here just wondering when he's going to take his shirt off, shove his microphone in his mouth, and he's like, wait, this is boring and stupid. Why am I here? DSP's a liar. I mean, I always wanted to be on this stream. I think I'm going to start trolling him now. Yep, because you can tell ReviewTechUSA just doesn't care to be here. He doesn't want to be. It's like anyone, like even myself included, like if you was actually have to talk to DSP, you probably wouldn't go through with it because it would be boring. You know he's going to lie to you basically the entire time. The only way to get at DSP is to trip him up. And basically, he's going to run away if you trip him up too many times. So it's basically a pointless effort. And this is something I think ReviewTechUSA was starting to realize.
You saw that they were wiping the fucking floor with me and you wanted in on it. And when they embraced you and treated you like one of the whack pack on Howard Stern, you got a taste of more money. You got you thought they feigned friendship with you, which you bought into. At least that's what it seems like.
I almost never talk to Andy at all. Almost never. Andy is kind of the guy from what I'm to understand. He's the tech guy, all right? He's the guy that gets everything together, that the data runs the show. But PPP is the guy who actually gets the ideas, talks to people, wrangles them in, etc. I talk to PPP about 40,000 times more than I ever talk to Andy. And it's hilarious because the internet has this misconception that like I'm bros with Andy and we always talk behind the scenes about games. We almost never talked at all.
You're saying even when you defended them and went to bat for them with the numerous clips that are out there, and on your own channel, I've seen them because you always say it's always the track. When they're like, oh, they're just razzing me. This was, so you were humiliating yourself to get like a master plan of vengeance back on them?
I 1,000,000% knew they were going to turn on me eventually. There was no way they were never going to because they've done it to everyone. They've burned every bridge. They do whatever they need for personal gain. And everyone knows this. Like you said, you knew it. Everyone else knew it. But everyone apparently thought I was the dumbest motherfucker on the planet. I'm not.
It's think about it though. It's not. Don't even take it as an insult. There's truth to it. Where you're talking about a pizza party, like it's like if you're working in commission sales and you hit a goal, but the reward is your audience watches you eat pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see where that's insane?
Rich, there's entire businesses on the internet based on people eating food on camera. You realize this, right?
But Phil, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I was like, let me go see his DSP. You have your DSP tries it on DSP reacts, right?
Yeah.
That's where you put them. One of them at most got 2,000 views. You probably made like 75 cents off of it.
Yeah, because that's not the business, that's the reward. When they watch me do those videos, they see me try a product that maybe they will then get because they want to try it. And numerous people over the years have said, hey, I saw you try that and I went and got it. Man, it was good. Or the flip side, man, I couldn't believe it was that bad. I had to try it for myself and man, it was really bad. Or, hey, I was going to get that, but I didn't because I saw your video and now I realize it's bad. So thanks for saving me the trip and the money.
I hate bringing it up over and over again, but it's just so apparent how socially inept Phil is. Anybody who has talked to anyone in the world would realize that Andy Worski was just messing with him, like just riding him along, like, okay, Phil, I'll talk to you for a little bit, but he wasn't interested in the conversation. It's so easy to tell when someone just doesn't care what you have to say. That's why it's easy to shut up when you notice it. But Phil, he just can't realize that. And if you guys go through and like actually read some of the messages Phil pulls up, or just go into your own time and read all of them, I mean, it's kind of a good read. You'll see that it's just pure gaslighting and DSP just cannot realize it. It is absolutely mind-blowing just how condescending and jokey they are. And like literally, and Phil was just taking the bait like, yes, they're on my side. He has never, ever had a friend that he had to look up to, that he actually had to go to have someone to talk with, because all of his other friendships was just like Rambo and that other guy telling him how good he was at Street Fighter and how amazing his videos were, and that they wish they could be exactly like him. And Phil loved that. Now look at the way he's acting with Kino Casino, like, please, just notice me, and he's like donating to them, guys. Think about Phil. He can barely afford his next meal. He might have to eat a ham sandwich, but he can donate to the Kino Casino. Think about how much Phil hates giving away money. Do you really think he would do that for some kind of snaking that he obviously knew the Kino Casino was going to pull him on their stream over and over again until they got exactly what they wanted? There was no need to give him money. He did it because he wanted friendship. Okay, so for you guys who don't keep up with DSP, and I'm a little bit out of the loop, but I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on how much it costs DSP's fans to actually get these eating rewards. It's like, it takes 10 streams, right? And the donation goal is around $100, maybe $150. And Phil wants to hit that 10 times in a row before he'll order a meal and have a feasting with the king. Now think about that, guys. That is a crap ton of money, and Phil streams twice a day. So he could be doing this weekly, just rolling in the money to do exactly what he does when he jumps off stream. Just fill himself with DoorDash, and he's probably drinking a little bit of gin on the side, and then he moves on with his day. Thanks for the money, dummies. If you actually have a reward for your fans, make it content-wise where everyone can enjoy it, and it shouldn't be this huge monetary goal. That is tons of money that your fans are basically giving you for something they could do like 3 or 4 times out of the week with that same amount of cash. And I'm not saying DoorDash 4 times out of the week, because that's just a bad way to spend your money, but I would much rather do that than spend it on Phil.
Looking up, it's a sure broadcast one mic. Hold on, don't say folks yet. Don't say folks yet. There's a minute and 30-second.
So the very first one they had is, let's keep right now, let's strike when the iron is hot. Let's actually get Mudahar to do a co-op with us. We're going to do Chain Together with Mudahar, who's talked about you over and over the years. And it's going to be epic. It's going to be so awesome that Mudahar is going to be in the content, okay? And so here it is. We thought that we would do Chain Together, and, they say Mudahar is going to be in it because he's like the biggest guy in their Rolex, okay? I'm just paraphrasing because we don't want to read word for word here. Like I said, I'm going to drop the files at the end of the show so everyone can read them for themselves, word for word. That's why there's dates and everything here, okay? There was a little bit of nonsense, and it was my fault because accidentally I didn't even know I had Mudahar blocked on Twitter, and I already publicly apologized for that. I didn't know that. So here's what ends up happening. After hyping this up that we're going to do Chain Together with Mudahar, Mudahar cancels last second, like literally last second. Now, doesn't tell me why Mudahar canceled, but says, well, we'll try to reschedule, but we want to try to rush it before the end of the month. What ends up happening, all right, is Mudahar literally stops talking to these guys entirely. 100%. Won't answer them, won't get back to them. Then, within one
Devastating.
Within one day, Mudahar deletes his entire Twitter account. For some reason, this is supposed to be the biggest guy in their Rolodex. He's ghosting them now. Okay? So now we'll move on. I think there was like one more here, but these are just me going through with them saying, look, he deleted his Twitter. I hope it had nothing to do with us. And you know what? So Worski says, I think he chickened out because he can't handle the heat. That's what Worski said right here, that Mudahar can't handle the heat of doing it.
These are all nothing burgers. Where is the damning stuff here?
We're going through a lot of stuff. Relax. I'm not screen sharing any links. We're not doing any bullshit that you want to do. It's not your show.
Why is you not doing? It's not my show, but you brought me on the.
All right. So
I think Phil, I think you thought this is going to be like some like battered wife. Like, yes, let's go. I don't care about I really don't give a shit. I don't care about.
Okay. So I guess we'll continue on. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. You want it? It's a potential mega show with the size of his audience and the hype that's built for years around the meeting. Worski knew him for years. We could probably control it enough, but he is a detractor through and through and will be trying to score points. I think he has very little charisma or ability to live format, especially in a 3v1 scenario. So the first time that we even talk about It's a Gundam, they're actually insulting him, saying that he has no real charisma. In a live scenario, this guy will die, right? I think it's very easy to paint him as a spurg and a miserable alcoholic who hates his life and is pissing it away. It's a big limelight, and it's a live scenario. We have him agreed, and it's an easy booking. And basically, I said, yeah, this guy, has been desperate to come at me for years and years and years.
And I bet ReviewTechUSA wishes he would have stayed just a little bit longer for Phil to actually pull up the It's a Gundam messages when PPP says, listen, It's a Gundam is a drunk, he's a spurg, you know exactly what he's going to do, he's going to come on stream Meltdown, he can't handle you, Phil, especially when we got your back. And he can't even realize, DSP cannot even realize that they're talking about him. How jaded are you? You can't realize that you're sitting there drunk at 4 in the morning, spurging about It's a Gundam, and PPP just pushes it right back onto you, and you're like, yeah, you're right. That is exactly who It's a Gundam is. And Phil, you don't watch any of these people, right? Which is so disrespectful. Even when he's on other people's shows, he's like, I don't watch your content. I'm just not interested in it. Screw your content. Mine's where it's at. And it's like, DSP, you are so low on the totem pole. If you would just, I don't know, watch other people's content and see what they're doing, gameplay people specifically, you might actually be able to, make a decent show. But no, he ignores everybody and gets drunk and plays WWE champions all day.
Now, this is the first time that I told them, I really can't be the villain of the internet because this PPP wants me to be the villain. Let me explain the narrative here, all right? PPP wants me to be the villain of the internet. He wants me to portray myself like the worst person possible for drama views. And he thinks that if I did that I would absolutely explode in popularity. I'd make 10 times more money, get 10 times more views, all right? And I explained to PPP, listen, I can't do that. Why? Because I got a wife, and she's not been feeling well, and she found religion, and she doesn't want me involved in this kind of drama stuff, okay? Now, you guys already know, because I already told you this, some of that is true. Actually, last year, Kat actually did have some health problems, all right? So what's the next big idea? Well, man, we're kind of running out of ideas. Can we get Frank Hassel to come visit you? No. Frank Hassel, the guy who infamously harasses people to get content, who went to Boogie's house, who does all this stuff and basically has no boundaries. Of course, I don't want Frank Hassel to be involved in, because then he's going to start doing all that stuff, right? So obviously this is not a good idea, but this is their harebrained ideas. Frank Hassel, let's get him to show up, right? And do either content or show up at your house, right? Like, no, I don't. I'm not going to have that happen. Now, I live in a private community for a reason. I live on a private road. It's gated, all right? No one is allowed to come into this community without permission from one of the residents, okay? If you come onto this property and you're not actually supposed to be here, we call the police and you get trespassed off the property and removed. I would never, ever let someone harass me or ever at my house. I would just stay inside, call the police, and send people off to jail where they belong. It's that simple, okay? So never was I going to get involved with someone like Frank Hassel regardless. It never was going to happen. But, I mean, this is the harebrained cockamamie scheme that these guys are coming up with. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is your genius plan of what you want me to do next? He says, if you don't open the door and call the cops, it would be a massive win. So basically, What he's saying is he wants to have Hassel show up so I can call the cops and Hassel can go to jail. Why would you do that? Why would you want him to show up and go to jail? For those who don't know, I'm happily married. My best friend is my wife. I've said time and time again, if I'm going to spend more time with someone, it's going to be my wife. It's not going to be PPP spending time at Hogan's Bar in Florida, brother. So I very respectfully declined and said, maybe if it were 10 years ago, this is something I would have been interested in, but I'm tied down and rooted in Washington. And I couldn't in good conscience go on a trip without my wife because I want to spend time with her. So what he says is, I would pay for her to come too. And we'll set up Jasper with a sitter. No pressure. I know it's a lot of, again, the health issues, with my wife that we had mentioned and stuff like that. And then he says, oh, I want to get you guys out of the house and something that the detractors can suck forever. That's not true. A moment ago, you just said you wanted to fly me down and spend time at the bar. Now all of a sudden it turns into, oh, well, now I want to fly you and her out because I want to get you out of the house to basically spite the detractors. That's not what it was. I don't like you like that. I got a wife, And he's like, oh, shit, let me spin it now that, oh, it was actually, his wife and his family, all right? Ridiculous. So anyway, again, I would put you up at the Hilton by the beach, and then I feel bad for pressuring you, and I say, it's all good, right? It's just so bizarre. So he basically 100% thought that everything that I ever told him was genuine when most of it was bullshit, okay? And quite frankly, that was one of the most embarrassing moments because he actually thought that I was a close personal confidant of him when I really hadn't told him anything that was anything secret whatsoever. None of it was real. Let's continue because we got more, all right? You know what? We really haven't done anything with Andy. We haven't. So I feel like we should do a little bit. To be honest, I know Andy apparently doesn't like me, but I've barely talked with the guy, so I just don't know him that well. And I don't know if everything he's ever said is a sham or a ruse. I don't know if he just goes with everything that PPP tells him, okay? It's literally the middle of the afternoon on Valentine's Day. Keep in mind, again, I don't talk to this guy a lot. The logs that I have with him are 100 kilobytes. The logs I have with PPP are over a megabyte, so it's 10 times more I talk to PPP than him, okay? Well, yo, why'd you unfollow me? I hope you're well anyways, dude. Keep well, brother. Huh? And I responded later on in the day when I just happened to open this, what, you mean here on X? I didn't unfollow you, Andy. I don't think I ever followed you here, laughing out loud. I do follow your Casino Clips channel to get caught up from time to time. I've been busy, but I don't watch your show. I've been, haven't watched it in ages. Oh, okay, based. Huh?
What is wrong with DSP? He literally couldn't tell that PPP was screwing with them. PPP had definitely gotten bored and was like, hey, yeah, DSP, I've got a great idea for content with you. We're going to have Frank Hassel visit you and just call the cops on him. It'll work out well. And that would be some great content for, while it was happening, something great for me to cover. But DSP should have recognized, wait, he's trying to get me in some terrible situations. He's not even joking about this. There's no LOLs at the end. He's actually making it a serious bid for me to go do. And DSP doesn't realize he's getting snaked right then and there. But no, he's the master, guys. He's been lying to them the whole time. And then when PPP isn't messing with DSP because he feels bad for him, because could you imagine this guy sending you tons of text messages in the middle of the night, incredibly drunk, and you probably start to feel a little bad for him. And PPP's like, well, if we're actually going to get some content out of this, what would be a good thing to show people the true Phil? For once in a long time, let him come out of his shell. Well, he loves Hulk Hogan, let's let him go to Hulk's bar. And DSP's like, why would I go hang out with people and have drinks with my friends, the boys? That doesn't make any sense. What's wrong with you, PPP? Are you a little funny? Yeah, that's what I thought. I figured you out. It's like, DSP, all kinds of people go out drinking with their friends, and you know what? Sometimes they leave their wife behind, and sometimes they bring her with you. And guess what? PPP offered to fly your wife out for the honeymoon you never had. It was going to happen, guys, but DSP's like, no, I would just rather sit here and pull JPEGs because he doesn't care about Kat. If Kat was actually sick, she could get sick again with what DSP claims she had. It's very easy and it happens all the time, so you would think, thinking about that, considering other people, you would possibly be like, I'm gonna go on this vacation. He might be messing with me, but I can make this the best opportunity possible, and maybe, just maybe, I can become a part of this whack pack, and I'll make tons of money, and I'll actually have a decent life going forward. Look at Wings of Redemption and Boogie2988. They've made constant mistakes since hooking up with Keemstar, and they're rolling in money anymore. People are donating to them tons. I think they're like the top super chatted show on YouTube right now, which is just insane to think about. But that could have been you, DSP, and you didn't even have to ride Keem's coattails. You could have just been getting messed with PPP, but no, you decided to give some troll all of your information, tell him all of your business, and then you snake him. You do him dirty. And I heard PPP claim that DSP could have done like half of this without releasing all the DMs and like go full on snake mode, and he could have been like, it's kayfabe, guys, you know, it's all fun and games. I'm not mad at DSP. This was a part of the plan, and it could have been going on longer. You could have been making thousands, DSP, but you ruined it. And thank goodness for everyone involved, because after DSP showed his true self, he doesn't deserve those thousands of dollars. He doesn't deserve all that name recognition. Let him go back to his cave and learn what life was really like. And then, I bet in a few months, guys, he's going to try something like this again. And I can't wait for it, to be honest with you. DSP was the first lolcow that I ever got to view, and I've been waiting to talk about him for so long. This Kino Casino arc literally couldn't have ended fast enough, because I've been waiting months and months and months just for this exact moment, and I'm so glad it's here. But I guess that's enough for me today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And I got a huge announcement. Go subscribe to the second channel, Major Chilla 2, because every live stream that we do, I'm going to cut it down, cut the individual cows out, and we're going to make it their own separate videos. So if you missed the live stream, or you just want to rewatch it in a shorter, more concise form, you can go to the channel and check it out. And that's more Major Chilla content every single week. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you guys next time.